Oh my goodness. Ooh, this trader's lair is getting very tiresome to walk up those stairs for me. Ooh, I'm tired. Hello, 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 and welcome to The Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where you put the real and the tea in reality, and where you can always come to us first to quench your reality thirst. I am Lana, your resident evil trader diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea here. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up. I'm drinking strawberry sunkiss. That's just what it is. But if I was drinking anything else, I would be drinking out of my cup mug because your cup mug is where you jet pull up the cup. Pull up a beer. We got a panel full of cup mugs. Panel full of cup mugs. Panel full of cup mugs.
A little bit higher.
A little bit higher, Jack, so we can see that panel full of cup mugs.
But we don't know who this trader is.
Trader.
There you go. Perfect.
Great. I actively can't see.
I know, that's why we're trying to direct you.
This is so falling apart, but it's okay. I think everybody knows who everybody is by now. Anyway, get your cup mug at monogscreations.etsy.com, where we do ship internationally and domestically here in the US, so there are no excuses in the UK. For the last time, I'm looking at you. Get your cup merch. Period. Thank you. What?
It's not Harry. It's me. It's David.
The worst line you could have came
I know
up with
that was extremely sexy. So please control your emotions after seeing me lick my lips like Harry did.
You know people are going to be in the comments asking for the OnlyFans again, David.
It's coming soon.
Not again.
Yes, I'm David Healy, and I am here and happy to talk about the best season of the Traitors ever. And I'm drinking some water.
That's a statement to say. All right.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we had no idea because you didn't say anything throughout the intro. I had no idea it was you.
Okay, you know what, Lana? I don't need this level of sass today.
Well,
don't come for the gays. Don't come at me like that, Lana.
I am an ally, sir. Don't do that. That's not cool. Don't do that. Don't do that. That is not cool. Don't do that.
Parvati.
Logan.
Lana.
Logan.
You don't have enough syllables in your name for me to do it.
You don't either.
It's fine. Resident Evil Diva. There we go.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay. Say something traitor gay. Ooh. Because I am a traitor. I'm drinking some strawberry and lime soda today out of my cute new shaker cup that I got. It's very nice. It's very orange, and I enjoy it a lot. So cool.
Okay, so now I know what it feels to suffocate.
Okay,
that's fun.
Yep.
And this sweatshirt is a fucking nightmare. Hi. My name is Jack. I am the resident game designer of the panel, and I would also lead someone on for probably about a month to get about 95,000 pounds.
Oop, 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 oop. You said it. You said it.
If any men would like to hop into my DMs with that amount of money, I am totally open.
Oh, same.
Same.
David doesn't have to worry about that because his OnlyFans is launching soon, apparently.
Mr. Anyway, so yeah, we're here. We're back. This is it. You know what, y'all? It's over. Well, it's over. It's over. But what an ending to an amazing season of the Traitors, I will say. But first, before we jump into that, let's get this business crap out the way. Subscribe to this
Not
channel.
the business crap.
Yeah, the business crap, because that always intrudes in on the fun, but this is a business, baby, and so we got to take care of the business crap first. Subscribe to this channel. You know you want to. You just sat here through 5 minutes of intros and laughter and foolishness and debauchery. You like us a little bit. Hit the subscribe button. Let us know you support us, and we appreciate you. Do all the things, share, follow, hit the notification bell, because we put out almost all things reality TV, almost content, almost every single day on this channel. If you are a fan of drag or drag race or drag of any kind, we have content on our main channel at The Cup Pod, where we put out almost all things drag almost every single day. So there's stuff coming for you down the pipeline. And if you happen to be a fan of our Eurovision, season is heating up. It's things happening. Go Ireland.
The UK will be announcing their entry soon, but I'm very excited for Ollie Alexander.
All right. See, UK, y'all. Eurovision, this is where you're supposed to be.
I was like, this is the one place we don't. Well, actually, there were Irish people in this season. So
yeah, but this is the one place we want y'all to just go over to that channel at The Cup ESC and subscribe to that channel. We see y'all watching. That's the thing. We see you watching. We just need the subscriptions to go with the views, because we see you watching. So hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you. If you want to donate to this channel monetarily and help us grow our channel, we appreciate you. Any amount will help, but everything you donate to us will come right back into this channel to help us grow and create. Hit the money button on our main channel and give us a super thanks, and we a super thank you. So thanks so much. Now, back to what we came here for. UK Traitors, you have given us an amazing season from beginning to end. I think this is my second season of watching any Traitors. I watched Traitors US and now third. No, yes, third, because I watched Canada. Got Canada.
4?
No, I only watched Canada.
This was the third.
This was my third.
Because you watched season 1 of US.
This is the third. Because season 1 of US.
US
Canada,
is fourth.
And UK too.
Don't mind me. Everything is
okay. I'm about to say US, Canada, and UK. 3.
I said I felt.
I know. Anyway, so I've been watching these Traitors, and I've loved all of them. This was one of a good one. Like, I don't know if I'm okay. I think this was my most entertaining season of Traitors. I will say, from the beginning to end, I was very mostly entertained by this cast and this group of people playing the game. I'll tell my thoughts about my order of my favorite Traitors, or who I think is the best Traitors thus far that I know, but we'll talk about that much later. But this season was great. It was so enjoyable from the very first episode all the way to this very end. I was entertained. I literally was hounding people to how do I watch this episodes? Give me the episodes. And I'm sorry, David. But I was just hounding because I really was so excited. I was like, I want to watch the episodes. Give them to me. And it was so worth it. It was so worth it. And I enjoyed it. What did you all think? Starting with you, David. What was...
Yeah, I agree. I thought this was a phenomenal season. It started off strong. I'll be honest, the second batch of episodes in the second week, I was like, okay, you're losing a little bit of momentum for me. But that was like the only slightly down. Everything else was just so entertaining. And I think what made this season so good is that we had such a balanced cast of really good Traitors and really good faithful. Like, say what you want about, they didn't always get it right, but honestly, I think we probably saw the best faithful player that I've seen on all 8 seasons I've watched. So I think this has been a very impressive season, and anybody who hasn't watched it, I feel bad for them.
Mm-hmm. Logan, what about you?
I really enjoyed this season. I'm not nearly as well versed with Traitors as a lot of other people here are. This is also my 3rd season watching. So I don't have as much to go. I'm just gonna go.
just stick, always the drama, always dramatic. You're just so dramatic.
Well, I wouldn't be so dramatic if David didn't have a reply for every single thing.
That's true too. That is true too.
Can I argue fifth?
Stop it.
I said oxfalcon.
Just stop it. Let Logan finish their thoughts.
Thank you. I liked it. That's all I have to say, I guess. I'll just sit here with my water and my cup mug, which you can get at lanagcreationscience.com. Link in the description.
Period. Jack, what did you think of this season?
This season has so many ups and downs. I said it before the podcast, but every single batch of 3 episodes has a moment that you can point to and say, and that's why they're winning awards for this season. There are so many good things, big and small, with how they're filming it, how they're treating contestants, how they're just playing the game, how they've evolved the format. Like, it's perfect. This season of Traitors on so many levels is at a really, really good, if not perfect place. And I want to see what else they can do.
Yeah, same. I started laughing, and just so people won't think I'm laughing at Jack, I'm not laughing at Jack. I'm laughing because Jack is so funny to me. Because every time we ask Jack something, Jack says. So from this point on, I think every time. Here's my point.
I don't even notice it.
You do
It's
it.
It's one of my favorite things about you.
It is. It's my. Cause Jack, you can ask Jack anything. Like, so what did you think about it?
Well,
it was so good.
It's the breath in, and then it's it's
so
all
good. It's so good. I love it so much. I think
we love you so much for that, Jack. Like, it's
my
incredible.
favorite thing about Jack. I love when Jack is so I can be like, how many times does Jack will go? Well, or it's the. Here's the thing. It's so funny. I'm sorry. I just had to bring it up. It's so fun to me. I love it so much. But let's just get into it because we started with episode 10. I'm right about that.
Yes.
I did. And this episode made me go, dang it. Because what I wanted to happen, and I said it last week on the podcast, what I wanted to happen was for Ross to come in and be like, let's change this thing up a little bit. Let's change the power structure that is Harry. Not that I have anything against Harry. I liked Harry, and I still like Harry. I liked Harry throughout this entire game because Harry played a great game. Great game. I just wanted to see what will happen if Harry actually got challenged. Like, actually felt like he was in the hot seat for a moment. Even if he wiggled his way out of it, I wanted to see how he would navigate it because he had it so easy this game. It's been so easy for Harry. Nobody suspected Harry. And even the people who did was kind of like, oh, but I'm scared to say it. I think I'm so scared to say it. I don't want to, because he's so insulated. I can't say it. So I'm kind of like, oh, I want to see what can happen. And then when they brought in Ross, I was like, maybe he could do it. Well, sometimes you can't get what you want in life. And in this life, I did not get what I wanted. So jump into the episode. Let's start with the beginning because the shield has to come into play here. Harry has the shield, but nobody knows except a few people. Now, how did it go from only Molly knowing to a few people knowing? Because did I miss something in the edit?
I guess you did, because they did show him talking to a couple of people, and he did tell everybody who said that they knew, he did tell them in the episode. And when I watched the episode, I'm like, that's a mistake because you're taking away people from being suspects whenever you do that. So I was like, I think this is not being handled the best way. but I was so wrong. I will say that for the like very fervently that the way he did this was actually very brilliant because he did have a group of people that were now solidified. Okay, we all must be faithful, and these other people are the people we're going to go for. And it is crazy that I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit, but this one move single-handedly took out the next 3 people in banishments.
Absolutely.
One of the, like, I'm going to say the best move I've ever seen in the Traitors. And it's crazy how well it worked out.
It definitely was something that was like, this one stupid move just totally took the lives of 3 people in this game. Literally 4 people's lives in this game because of this one move. Because it took, won't go there. Can't say it. I won't jump ahead. But it took out the person who got banished, the person who got murdered because they knew and they were in the know. Then the next person got banished, and it was just like this move just I was like, I'm so impressed and flabbergasted and angry all at the same time because I'm like, how does this happen? Who has this kind of luck? How does this man? He literally needs to have a halo on his head and walk around with a glow on his body the entire time because he just has the luck of the Irish, the luck of he sold his soul to the devil. He got everything that says you get power, and he just has it on him. He could do no wrong. And I was like, I've never seen nobody play like that.
I definitely think there's an element of luck with everything that happened with Harry. I will definitely agree with that. What I will say as well is I think looking at his game top to bottom, I think there was a lot of very strategic maneuvering without maybe him even knowing that he was doing it. I think he did come into his strategic game, especially we saw in the last batch of episodes that we saw, and definitely in this one, mostly with this whole shield situation. But I think it's kind of that classic competitive reality TV show game that I think we would all love to play if we were to play these games. Get in there, stay low key at the start of the game, build your social connections, and then use those social connections to take out all the people that you want to take out. Like, it's a very classic game. I don't think he did anything with like major like frills. It wasn't the most bombastic game. It wasn't the most embellished game. But what he did was play a very solid social strategic game from top to bottom. And there's an element of luck to that. But I really have loved seeing, and I haven't been the hugest fan of Harry, I'll be honest in saying that. Not my favorite person on this season. But I have to give him props where the props are due, because he really came into it and realized what he was doing and realized the position that he was in and took as much advantage of that as he possibly could.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, I think he had 3 really great moments in this season, and one was the shield that we talked about. The first thing that like really made me like perk up my head like while watching him was when he let Johnny get voted out, and just the tears that he had, and I know they were genuine, but he also knew it was a great strategy. If I was a faithful, I would 100% believe that Harry was a faithful. I think that really started to earn everybody's trust in him. And then the next move that really was genius was the whole Miles versus Paul roundtable, and Harry just leaning over to Zach and saying, "Do you think this is 2 traitors going at it?" It was so subtle yet so genius because he took that thought, put it on Zach, and then Zach was the voice of that thought, and that really like did him like. He had a great opportunity to take out 2 traitors in a row and just seem like the best faithful. So yeah, I think overall, like I honestly think he might have played the best traitor game that I've seen. So, and I know that's a big statement because I
was thinking about this same thing last night because after I watched it, I was like, is he the best traitor that I have seen? Has he played the best traitor game? We'll talk about that because I broke down why my order and why I felt that way, but we'll talk about it.
I think I have to go back and watch. I think the other person that we're all kind of having consideration for that.
I'll have to watch it because I know exactly why. But I mean, like I said, I thought about this in extensive, like, I couldn't go to sleep last night after watching it because I was like in my head, and I was like, this is so good. Da, da, da. What would I think? Thought about this podcast. I was like, what would I say that I know is going to go out to the world? What would I say if this question came up? And it was just like, let me break down this game. Who did this and why did this? Because my only traders that I will be able to consider is Suri, Mike from Canada, Harry from UK, and that's it.
Yep, those are the ones you've seen win.
Yeah, those are the ones I've seen. So those are the three that I've seen. So between those three, I had to figure out how would I place this and and why they games and did whatever. But we'll talk about it. I just know that I was very impressed watching this game. And I agree with you, Dave, what you said something about this has a great cast of faithfuls that also made this game enjoyable to watch, because sometimes I will say this is the best well-rounded cast that I enjoy watching the best. This was my favorite cast to watch because even when the faithfuls were wrong, they weren't so wrong where it was irritating wrong. Mm-hmm. It was just like, we just don't know at this moment. It is what it is. We don't know. And it wasn't like it was big, obvious things that were happening. You're like, you're not seeing this, and this is happening, even though it is easiest for us to watch at home and know everything. To be like, this is, you don't see this traitor-ish actions and stuff. But it was just like, I felt for me, US cast was so annoying. As their faithfuls were annoying, and I was like, I think they were the worst for me as far as like the faithfuls getting on my nerves, traitors not getting on my, you know what I mean? And Canada was somewhere in the middle, but this cast was just most overall like likable. I can root for almost everybody in this cast, and even if you're faithful and your reads are bad, but you're like, I understand why your reads are bad, because these traders are good. These traders are really, really good, and they got you snowed. They got them snowed, and I was impressed. But let's go on, because what we talking about, the cast and people forever. They go to breakfast. Everybody's there, and they're like, what do you mean? And then Harry said, they might have tried to kill me because I got the shield, and somebody probably tried to kill me, and it was blocked. And they're like, oh my God. Well, Zach like, well, I knew he had the shield, and Molly knew he had the shield, and Evie knew he had the shield, and
Evie did not. It was
no, Evie did not. Jazz.
Yeah.
Jazz knew he had the shield, and then Andrew was like, I knew.
That was a smart move for Andrew, because that wasn't part of the plan.
He did not know, but he was like, I knew.
He knew just because he was another traitor.
All right, he's Zach.
Literally, he was like, I'm aware of this situation because he told me last night.
He told me last night in the turret, but you know, he's like, I knew. And he was like, yeah, we all knew. So the ones that left out is Jasmine and Evie.
And Ross.
So it gotta be one of y'all. And Ross, it gotta be one of y'all. And they were like, why it gotta be one of us? That makes no sense to me. And Zach, I went on a rant against Zach last week. And I will continue to say, Zach, I don't know who you think you are. Who you think everybody got to tell you their plans and their thoughts and their minds and such.
I cannot wait to talk about episode 11. I cannot wait to talk about episode 11.
But everybody's coming in, and that's the whole thing. Go ahead, David. You got something.
I do want to say, like, Zach was wrong about this, but it was a very good read. Like, logically, that is the best conclusion. If you believe that Harry was saved with the shield, then it has to be one of those three. It has to be multiple of those three. So it came from a place of logic. So, and I appreciated that about Zach. I think he was actually one of the most logical players in this group. He just happened to be wrong a lot. Like
all the time.
Like, it is such a difficult task to really pinpoint who's traitors. Like it's almost an impossible task.
Yes.
Like most seasons I watch, there's just no way to know. So I think he did the best trying to deduce things. But yeah, just unfortunately, it was a lot of wrong reads. I think on a different season, he could be a brilliant traitor or faithful.
I know, and for me, it's really not even about what he said and his reads being wrong. It was how he was saying things and how it was the tone and his actions. Like, why are you going after Jasmine like that? And then you going after her to the point where you calling her a liar and like, what? Because she didn't tell you what she thought. You got to be lying because you didn't tell me that. Why do we not? Well, I already talked about that. Let's move on. It's just
And I'll talk
it's just
about
the
it
way.
again later.
It's just the way it's just his tone that I just didn't care for. So I was just like, okay. But they all are there. Claudia comes in and was like, everybody's here. Great. Let's go to the mission. And they go to the mission. Really not a whole lot that happened because everybody was there. So they go to the mission. And I don't remember this mission. So somebody else jump in here.
Well, they are supposed to split up into pairs of 2 at this mission, and they're going to be going to different questions that they have to answer, and they have different amounts of gold in bags. Yeah, and yep, they take turns one at a time answering the questions, and if their partner gets eliminated, the person is supposed to keep going with the gold. That's what they're supposed to do.
That's what they were supposed to do.
With the goal. Just keep that in mind, people. Keep that in mind.
I love that Claudia was like, you all get to assign who gets what amount. And Harry just goes, you get that, you get that, you get that, we'll take this. And it's like...
And they were like, okay.
Another example of how stellar Harry's social game is, where he can just assign things for an entire group of 8 people, and everyone is just like, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, and I think he wanted the smallest amount because I think he wanted to go for the shield again. He had a good alibi that, oh yeah, they are trying to kill me. We should all
aspire to have the confidence of a straight white man.
But yeah, he knew that he needed the shield so he could keep up that alibi of they're trying to kill me. Because logically, it seems like a traitor would try to kill him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's why Harry was able to do that. That's why I had to put that out there. Because that's what you could do. Anyway, this was a funny challenge. I couldn't even remember when it started, but now I remember it. And I'm like, I laughed. Because
this
was
got funny and yet also one of the worst challenge performances we've seen from this group. Season.
It was tough, though.
It was tough.
I was struggling with those questions.
Me too.
I got every single one of them.
I don't think you did, but whatever.
I did.
I don't think you did. No, just kidding. Because if you probably did.
If there is one thing that I've spent the majority of my life studying, it's logic puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like logic puzzles are like the one thing that I'm like my my master quiz topic would be logic puzzles. That's what I would do. It's not a valid category, but
okay. Jack, what were you saying?
The puzzles were certainly an interesting part of this. Half of them were, did you see this specific element? Mm-hmm. And that's the entire puzzle. I would say the puzzle that honestly caught me the most off guard was the one for the shield. And I'll go into why when we actually get there, but...
Go into why now.
Mm-hmm. Sure. When it was brought up, it was a pyramid of past player names. Mm-hmm. At least I think they were all players who weren't currently in the game.
Jasmine was on there, so
it was players who were on the season. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I didn't realize that, and that probably caused me some issues. My brain went to, okay, there's some sort of pyramid structure here where it's going to be who voted who, and you have to have this like incredible memory, otherwise it's a coin flip. No, the solution is so much easier.
The letters in their name.
Yep.
And it's so obvious once you look at it.
When you look at it, you're like, oh, but then no. The one that got me, I was like, the one that they were like, what was in the center of the table, the symbol that's in the center of the table. I was like, How do we know that big old thing is on in the center of the table the whole time where keep the money? Like they don't ever take that off the table. How do we see what's in the center of the table? And when we went back to the round table, I'm like looking like, how are they supposed to know that when that big brown board is sitting in the center of the table and it's just brown? It's nothing on that. But it was the thing underneath it.
Yeah, I don't think it always was on there because I know what you're talking about. I think there's some scenes like as they started building the prize pot, then it goes in the middle, which I do like that the UK does that. But the first round table, they would have been able to see it.
I'm about to say, babe, you talking about? You want me to go back to remember the first round table before you start putting that
yes,
thing
Lana,
on the table?
because you're on the Traitors and you need to be paying attention to every detail.
And this is why I don't do puzzles and I lose challenges all the time in every game I play, because if I got to win a challenge to win the game, then what the heck am I doing there? I shouldn't be playing. But most of them got that. Half got it right, half got it wrong. I was like, I would have messed that up because I was like, is it a star? It looked like a star. I would have thought the star too, but it was the moon. No shot. But if you get it wrong, you get this booby trap thing that happened. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, people were stuck up in the trees with the net got them. And I gagged, laughed. Then poor Molly got sucked in when the net just dropped on her head. Harry was the first person to get it wrong and fell right into a trap of mud. Just like, when that thing, it looked like solid ground. I was like, that's just solid. He's still going to pick it up. No. He dove. He was like, I was like, oh. Ew, gross. And then Jazz at the end. Well, no, because we got to go to Jazz and Zach. When Zach goes to pick up his answer and has the bag of gold in his hand, when he go pick up the answer, and he's swooped up by the net and gone. And there goes the cash that goes with it.
That's on them both.
That's on both.
That is on them both.
Because why would you send anybody to get an answer with the cash in their hand? Like, it's always should be left with the person who's not going in there. That's simple gameplay, right?
Yeah,
I mean that's honestly the only reason we got to see the shield, because Jazz is like, I don't have the money. There's no reason why I shouldn't be going for the shield here. Because what else do I have to lose?
Absolutely. And then he gets it wrong and jumps in the mud. So he still doesn't get the shield. And you know who the only person to come out with some money is?
Andrew.
$3,000 from Andrew. I was like, work.
Andrew really, I will say, Andrew has really become one of my absolute favorite people on this series. And that's not typically a trope of person that I end up really liking. But I've found everything he's done to be very lovely. He's a wonderful person from what we learned about him. I hated that we got his backstory 11 episodes into the fucking season.
And I was always wondering about those scars.
I was always wondering. I was like, oh, we'll get the story. 11 episodes in. Like, I know y'all had to deal with the whole mother-son storyline, and you had to give Paul all his airtime.
But they were gone.
Do better by Andrew. Do better by Andrew.
I'm gonna say justice for Andrew. Like,
he did grow me a lot.
He did too. Like, at the beginning of the season, I was kind of like, Andrew, he's gonna be one of those people who I'm just gonna be like, they're there. If he make it to the end, sure. If he don't, sure. He wasn't somebody who I was particularly looking for, but towards the end of the season, I was like, you know what? Andrew's all right. Andrew is all right. And I was literally rooting for Andrew at the end. I was like, I want Andrew. I said, wouldn't it be great if Andrew was the one to take out Harry after Harry did all this talking, called him baby traitor and, all this. Wouldn't it be funny?
Don't even get me fucking started about all that shit from Harry.
What, the baby traitor? I mean, but they call Miles the baby traitor.
That shit pissed me off too.
But
that just means that they're the youngest.
They're the new traitor. They've been the traitor the shortest amount of time. I get. It didn't bother me.
I just had an issue more so with the way he treated specifically Ross and Andrew. I'm going to be honest. When it was just him as the OG traitor, the way that he was just like, oh no, we can't have this conversation right now. Like,
he was right.
Well, okay, yes, but they were by themselves and there was no one was going to be there. It felt very, don't talk to me. Like, it gave me that energy.
No, I was absolutely on Harry's side, because when you're as good of a traitor as Harry, you know that you cannot be too careful. You do not want to slip up at all. Like, it would be possible that people would be over him.
At that close to the end. I feel like it's so few people. All it took was one person to walk out of that other room and stand behind that door and hear them talking about something that could get them. Let's save all the traitor talk till we get to the turret. That's the safest place for traitors to have conversations about traitor issues. But I didn't particularly care for some of the things Harry said or how he treated Andrew, but it was not that. It wasn't that. The baby traitor thing, I'm like, yeah, you are a baby traitor. You just got here. You're a baby. But it was the whole not wanting to listen. Like, he had to make the rules. He had to make the plan. And it was like Andrew kind of took it. So I can't even be mad at him for that, because Andrew was like, okay, all right.
I don't think Andrew tried too much to take the reins.
I don't think he wanted to take the reins that much. So that's why I was like, can't really be that mad at him, because it was like, it is what it is at that point. I kind of was like, all right, that's fine. I think Harry had some cocky moments for me. And it was the one where Ross was like, Diane had to go. She talked too much. She was doing too much. And I was like, that's why I was like, I had to put her in a place. And so when he said that, I was like, what? you had to put her in a. Well, what place is that? And what
the ground?
Apparently, well, and he didn't even do that. Miles did that, so you ain't had to put nobody in nobody place. Miles did that, but that was my only cocky, arrogant issue with Harry. But so they only get $3,000 done by Andrew. Everybody else failed, and so they go back. And we get them on the car ride there. They were like, it was Harry, Zach, and Molly in one car. And they were like, somebody in that other car is a traitor. I just know it is. Somebody in that other car is a traitor. One of them have to be. That just has to be it is. And they were like, you think? Yeah, yep, somebody in the other car is a traitor. And then the other car is like, well, who do you think? And they all tiptoeing around like, because they believe somebody in that car is a traitor too. And I was like, you're all wrong. But okay. But Andrew was in that car, so one of them were a traitor. But it was just an interesting situation. Get back to the camp. Castle.
We get back to camp because suddenly we're on Survivor UK and we're in the Dominican Republic.
And that I would never put UK in the same league with traitors. Absolutely not.
Side note. Speaking of Survivor UK, go check out our Survivor UK coverage. But can we get
find that?
I got it. Don't worry. Can we get Christopher on Traitors?
Sure.
I think he would do great.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt your flow, Lana.
That's okay. I have to just make a note to when I'm supposed to put the.
Oh, I was also doing the same thing.
So we get back to the castle, and then we see a conversation with Maggie, Zach, Evie, and Andrew, and pretty much everybody in that group's like, yeah, oh, Harry's so faithful. Like, they are all hyping up how faithful.
Harry's like the most faithful. Like, we don't even. Molly literally goes, oh, we don't even have to bring up Harry in conversation anymore because we just know he's so faithful. I'm like, girl, no.
And this is where Andrew's like, Andrew's whole story of being a traitor is just nervousness about where things are going to go and how he's going to get cut at some point. And this is where he's like, I need to start planting some seeds against Harry. And he gets the idea to go up to Ross and have a short conversation with him. So he did this so subtly, maybe a little too subtly, but I don't know. It could have been worse for him, I guess. But he goes up and he's talking to Ross and he's like, I don't know what's going on with Harry. He's just being elusive. But Ross, instead of seeing that as an opportunity to take out Harry with Andrew, he tucks that away and he's like, how can I just create chaos between the two of them?
So,
Mess.
so he goes and he tells Harry, oh, Andrew said you were being elusive. And Harry's like, what? He's like, what do you mean? I don't know. He just said you were being elusive and he didn't know if he could trust you. And he was like, but don't say anything. He's like, yeah, all right. So Harry's like, why would Andrew say that? And why would Ross tell me that? But none of this is making sense to me. So he like, okay, let me tuck that into my back pocket and then we'll see what happens. All while Jasmine is like, they looking at me. Oh no, she mad at Zach because Zach is like, you're a liar. And they still argue. They still argue on the night before. So it's kind of like tense with them. So we get to the round table and everybody's like, Zach is like, let me talk because I feel like you, Jasmine, and you, Ross, and you, Evie, probably would be the ones who we're looking at because I think one of y'all, we all knew about the shield. We all knew about the shield. One of y'all tried to kill Zach. Tried to kill Harry, and he had the shield. And it wouldn't be us because we knew. If we knew he had the shield, so we wouldn't even try to kill Harry. We would kill somebody else. Y'all the only ones that didn't know. So it got to be one of y'all. And
why does it have to be one of us?
Says Jasmine. What do you mean? And she's like,
because apparently every piece of evidence needs to be filtered through Zach's very specific POV, and the only things that are truth in this game are things that have been filtered through Zach's point of view. Because only he has the right information to clock exactly who the traitors are, even though every time he's been wrong.
But this was the best evidence against anybody. Like there was not any other better evidence.
But Jasmine's like, but why is it all about you? Because I knew. And he's like, but why is it all about what you knew? Why couldn't it be this just seems very narcissistic and very like me, self-absorbed. He's like, but no, this is just what it is. And I get it. Made sense. It could possibly make sense. It's just very, very few from their perspective, from Zach, like, why did it just have to be because you knew and not the whole situation? Like,
I felt so much for Ross and Jasmine in this moment, just being like, Zach, fucking listen. Like, you're not listening. Just listen to someone else for a moment. And like the visible frustration on both of their faces, like, is ultimately part of why they both, we'll talk about it. But I was just like, oh, I felt for them in that moment because it's just like this person who has gone on this trail will not deviate from this trail. And like, in part, he is right because ultimately, like, one of them was a traitor. But like, that's just because of happenstance and the fact that he got recruited. But I'm just like, ugh, I hate people like that like won't deviate from their like, especially in games, people that won't deviate. Like, this is what I'm doing, tunnel visioning on this thing. I'm like, Zach, you need to look at everything around.
Yeah, I think what really helped Evie here was that she didn't deny the logic behind it. She was actually kind of agreeing with Zach. So I think that's why she was not under the spotlight here. And Jasmine eventually saw the logic too. It just was a little too late for her. But yeah, I really think that's why they were so honed in on those two. And I probably would have been the same way if I was there.
Yeah, not knowing the information I knew, I would have been like, makes sense. It probably definitely makes sense in this moment while we're looking at just these three people if everybody else knew. Because if we all knew and we were a traitor, we obviously wouldn't go for somebody who we knew had a shield. That's stupid. That's just a waste of banishment. that would make no sense. A murder. So it made sense, but they were going back and forth. And then Ross was like, and he's like, before we switch up, because Molly brought up Andrew. She's like, look, Andrew, I am not sold on you at this moment either. I think you could possibly be a traitor. It's just my feeling that I have. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry if it's not. He was like, no, don't apologize. I understand. It's just, I don't understand why it's me. And she's like, but it's just this gut feeling that I have. I can't shake it. I don't know what to do to shake it. So she was like, that's just what I'm feeling. And then Ross turns around and is like, Andrew, speaking of Andrew,
circling back.
Will this come from Harry first?
Harry said,
Yes, Harry asked Ross. He's like, so Ross,
oh,
can you tell me about why you came up to me and said that Andrew said that I was being elusive? He just dropped that bomb, and I did not expect that there. This was another
Andrew was
good
like,
move.
Yeah. Andrew was like, elusive. I don't even know what that means. I wouldn't even say that. And I was like,
He was quick on his feet to lie.
oh, it was such a smoothest lie I've ever seen in my life. And it was like the smoothest in the dumbest way possible, because like he was playing dumb. Like, I'm simple man. I don't say words like elusive. That's dumb. I don't say that. I say stuff like carrying on, and why is he talking like that? He acting like that. Like, I don't say these big bougie words like elusive. And he was like, I don't even know what that means. And Ross is like, what?
Huh?
Me? He was flabbergasted. Ross was taken aback. I don't think he expected that from Andrew, to be such a bold-faced liar. Like, Ross was like, I am not making, am I crazy? And I think Ross for a second had to think about, did he say elusive? I don't even know if he really said elusive. Am I crazy? I think I might be crazy.
Do I even believe what I'm saying?
Do I believe what I'm saying? It was just like, he was like, wait, what? You did?
Yeah.
But you said that. He was like, I don't even know what elusive means. He was like, why would I make that up? Why would I come out here and say that? Why was this something I would just say elusive? I would. And she was like, I don't even know what you mean. I don't even know that word. Like, that doesn't even sound like something I would say, does it? I screamed. I was like, Andrew, this is a moment I was like, snap to you, Andrew. Because,
this might have been my favorite moment of the entire series, if I'm being honest with you. Just like, elusive. I don't know what that means. Why would you even insinuate that I would say elusive?
I don't even know that word.
What is happening, Andrew?
Ross literally had a short circuit moment. He was just like, what? What?
Gaslight.
Right,
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Like,
he was like, what do you mean? What? You said it. I was just like, oh, Ross, you are done so right now.
And in that moment, he was just like, oh, okay, whatever.
This is when I effed up right now. And I shouldn't have told, like, he shouldn't have told Harry anything. He should have just sided with Andrew and went against Harry, like, instead of taking that moment to try to go against Andrew. That's why he messed up. And I was just like, well, Julie, all right. And unfortunately, that moment solidified all the other moments on top of everything else that happened. And Ross was voted out of the game. Yeah.
But not before he left a little message. He said, if you all vote me out, go for Andrew next, because he's over here being a liar.
Clock the tea.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the most blatant that a traitor has been like, you should definitely look at that person that I know is also a traitor because I'm a traitor?
I will say it is the second most that I've ever seen.
Okay.
Well, the first is actually in season 1 of UK, and it was such a game-changing bomb that was dropped. If anybody has seen season 1 of UK, you know that moment very clearly.
Yeah, at that point, it was basically just like, oh yeah, so there are the other traitors. Without directly saying those words. It was not great, to be honest, but
Bye, Ross.
Yeah, Ross is done.
But then
We lose the
got
whole storyline.
we got the whole we lose the storyline, but we do get the reveal, and I think that was the most important part because Ross was like, you know, I did this for my family, one of which was here, my mom, Diane, and everybody was just like, inspiration. How had no idea. But I am a traitor. And then he walked away. I was like, not the gasp and the shock that Diane is Ross's mom. And then it all came down on Harry, like, oh, he was coming for me. He was literally coming for me because I got what I said about his mom. Everything. You saw the moment when it all came back to Harry. He was like,
Yep.
about his mom. I said we had to put his mom in her place. Oh my God. I said that about his mom. Yeah, he was coming for me. We made the right choice to get rid of him right now because he was coming for me. And I think if Ross had another week or two, he probably would have came for Harry better. But
True.
whoo, child. Who else was gagged and gooped? Jasmine, because she was like, I defended this man and he was a traitor. And I'm like, yeah. But here's my thing. I feel like people, even in all traitors, I'm like, I don't think I would automatically assume the other person was a traitor for defending a traitor when they didn't know they were a traitor. Because I'm like, why would that be the end all be all? Like, you defended them, so you must be a traitor. No, I could just be a wrong faithful. Which, but that's how it goes. If you defend a traitor, you're automatically another traitor. And that's what we see going into episode 11.
True. One thing that stood out to me when Ross was doing his reveal, I don't know if you all noticed, but like when he went up on the stage, it cut to Harry, and he was trying his hardest to like hide a smile. It was like
his whole,
because he knew exactly what was about to be said. He didn't know exactly what was about to be said because he didn't know about the Diane thing. But it was just so funny. I was like, oh, I hope nobody sees you over there cheesing before it's even said.
Between him and Andrew, they were both kind of trying to hide the smiles that they knew was about to happen. And I was like, nobody's paying attention to that apparently, because we got it honed in, but I was like, if you're sitting at that table, wouldn't you? But I think they were also focused on him, that they weren't looking to the side. I'd be like, I don't know. Which, look, for your future trader players, don't worry about the person announcing. You can hear what they say. Look at the actions of the people around you. Like, look how they're reacting to what's about to come. Because Harry was seriously on the brink of like giddiness in that moment. If you looked at him, you were like, why are you smiling like you know? Like, I would think that. I don't know about y'all. I would think that, like, man, smiling like he knows something or what's about to happen. And then when I hear he's a traitor, I'll be like, oh, you smiling because you knew. All right. Keep that information in the back of my pocket. But
I'm surprised we didn't get any conversations from people being like, wait, Ross killed his mother?
They said something. They thought he did. They were like,
Evie was like,
I missed
my
that.
God, he killed his mother.
I was like, no, he didn't.
No, because he's not an original traitor. He literally just got recruited last night. Like, put the pieces together.
But it's driving. It was like, but
this is the best. Like, this is one of the best groups of faithful that I've seen. But also, still, like, it's some of the best and also some of the worst. Because I'm just like, why are you not putting the pieces together? And obviously, it's because we have all the information. But I'm just like, why are you not putting the pieces together? Molly, what are you doing, girl?
Sure. You would not even say anything about them being some of the worst if you saw Australia season 2.
I've heard. I've watched that series through osmosis because my roommate watched it, so I've watched bits and pieces and I know what happens. But yeah.
But we go into episode 11 because now we have to. Well, we go to the Traitors Turk and they have to decide who they are going to banish. Everybody's so happy. Everybody's so excited that they just got rid of a traitor. So now who are we going to banish? So they were like, do we banish?
Murder.
For me, I was like, this is a no-brainer. Like, this is the easiest one you could do. Like, there is no question who you need to banish to keep your story going, to keep it off of you. And they were talking, and I think they knew too. They were like, this is what we have.
We have to bring up other options because there need to be other options that are brought up. However,
comma, we know.
They can't go up there and be like, 1, 2, 3, Zach.
But that's literally what you feel like doing. I'm like, do we need to talk about it? Let's just go right on the board, Zach.
Let's get like 30 minutes extra sleep tonight. Like 5
right.
minutes.
Could we just?
That's another thing that I'm surprised hasn't been brought up in like previous Traitors stuff. Is like, you got to think that they spend like probably an extra like hour to 2 hours filming every night. So I'm like, who looks extra tired at the end of the game? Like, those are the Traitors. And I would get sussed immediately because I always look like I'm exhausted with having had no sleep. But I'm like, the bags under my eyes show a lot more than it should because I slept very well last night. But it's like, who looks tired?
I will say though on that, so during some press for last week's American episode, Stephanie LaGrossa literally put out the exact opposite point. That certain people, mainly some of the traitors from that series, were a little too well rested every single night, and that should have been a tell. So literally, like most things in the Traitors, it can go either way.
That makes sense because other people are worried about dying all night.
They don't sleep at all. Why? After the Traitors finish what they do on the tour, they just go right to sleep because they know they ain't dead. They ain't dying. And so it's like, okay. But the people who are worried about dying is still up like, is it me? Is it me? And they hear stuff knocked.
Definitely can't say you're going to sleep well.
No, I don't think you will if you're faithful. But so we go to breakfast because honestly, we all knew who they were going to pick. We go to breakfast. And everybody's, Zach's gone.
Yeah.
No beating around the bush.
No, it just made sense because if you're going to pin it on Jasmine, which they wanted to do and they needed to do, it had to be Zach. You couldn't kill Evie because then it's like, it could be anybody still. That's just like, Zach is the most obvious choice. Now, they could have killed Evie. And it still would have been on Jasmine, I think. But
like, that would have taken Evie off the board for the next time. So I think it was important not to kill any of those. Also, before they found out Zach was murdered, this is where we get Molly talking to the group about Ross's reaction to Andrew. And how he switched his vote to be on Andrew. She's like, I think Ross was sending a message to us. So I was proud of Molly for picking up on that. And I think this also really helped Harry because not only did the shield thing put up the next 3 to put banished, but I think this incident here put up Andrew as the 4th. So it almost seemed like Harry had easy, like a 4 banishment pass. So
absolutely. It was very much like Molly bringing up Andrew, creating more suspicion that he already had. He already had some suspicion on him, but it was like the more he got heat, the more eyes off of anybody else. So it was a perfect plan. If for source, like I think some of the plans Harry fell into, but some of the plans he orchestrated, and it was like. This plan that he orchestrated with the shield definitely gave him 3. And then his social status and capital that he had in his game created more people to just be in front of him, where people were like, "Oh, you're definitely not. It's definitely not them. It's definitely so and so or this other person or this other person." So Zach's gone. He's dead, and Jasmine is like,
Crap.
Immediately,
everybody's
like,
looking at me.
well, I know
Like,
what's happening here.
I know what's happening here. And I was like, girl, we know. We've been new. We saw it. The traitors are obvious, and y'all go all fall into the trap of the obvious. Like, okay. Because guess what? We don't have any more suspicions on anybody else. If I was Jasmine, I'm playing that up. I was like, so we gonna fall into the traitor trap? Obviously, we gonna fall into. Okay, so y'all go sit here and look at me because Zach is dead and we had an argument. That's the obvious move. Obvious. But okay, we fall into the traitor trap. But let this sink in. If you pick me off, that's what 10 one day. I'm just kidding. But, let this sink in. If you pick me off, another faithful is gone. So let that sink in. Let it sink in. I would have played it up. I would have. If I'm going, I ain't going quietly into the night. I'm just gonna say that. But
I actually had a lot of respect for how Jasmine handled this because, like, at this point, she was just being so logical about it. And she's like, oh, I 100% know that this looks bad. Like, I completely understand it. So I really thought that was a good strategy for her because sometimes the more you deny, like, especially when something looks logical, the more you deny it and don't acknowledge the logic behind it, I think that looks more suspicious. It was just kind of a no-win situation for her.
I mean,
Unfortunately,
she didn't have anything. It was no way she could have got out of it. And she handled it with grace. She handled it with class.
I love
She
her.
handled it with elegance. She handled it perfectly. I would have been like, but at least she handled it with a fight too, which I liked because she was like, look, I know Evie, you coming for me, I'm coming for you because the plan that Zach has legs, and so we need. I like how
like, yep, same page here.
Same page. I'm doing the same. So we fighting each other. We know it's coming, but we don't have to be ugly about it, which I appreciate because they didn't have to argue with each other before the round table. They didn't have to get nasty and calling each other names. They didn't have to be sniping at each other all day. It was just like, here's the conversation. I feel like it might be you. You feel like it might be me. We go settle it at the round table. May the best one win, and we call it that. And it is what it is.
I loved this whole sequence. I was like, this is so lovely from two very lovely people.
Eve is another one who really grew on me near the end there.
Once Charlie left, you could tell them apart.
Well, he still can't even get her name right because he called her Eve.
I did not. I say Evie or Evie. I just keep saying it.
I thought you just said Eve.
No, he said Evie. He said Evie.
This is so the next sequence we get is we see conversations between Molly and Harry, and you just see that they're becoming really close as friends. Oh, sorry, I didn't know if you were going there.
No, go ahead.
But I actually really enjoy their friendship. I think it's very genuine. I actually get a little annoyed when people try to make it a romantic thing because I do not at all think it was ever romantic.
Making it a romantic thing?
I think that people assume that. But Harry has a girlfriend. I don't know what Molly's relationship status was, but I like it when a straight man and a straight woman can be friends because you don't see a lot of that. But I really thought that they had a very cute relationship. And this is where Harry's like, this is really pulling at my heartstrings. Like, this is hard because I care about Molly so much. But yeah, that was my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think they're very perfectly platonic relationship. I thought that was it was sweet. And I loved it. I did too. I liked it. I was hoping Molly would see the light in her blind spot. Like I wanted the crack in the tunnel to just be like, oh, just a little smidge. But she was just like, Harry is 1,000% faithful. There's nothing. I just believe that. I believe that in my heart. And when you do believe something so strongly and fiercely, it's like I can't really be mad at her for believing that, because that's the impression he showed her throughout the game, and that was what he was supposed to do. He needed to make people believe that, and he did his job. You can't get mad at the traitor for doing what traitors do. You know what I mean? That's the job. That's the game. And I respect it so much. But I was sad for her because I really liked her. She kind of grew on me more as the game was progressing, because now it's like, oh, Molly's not just one of the girls that I can't tell apart. I know who she is. Oh, I like her. Okay. Oh, she was the sweetest faithful. She's one of those people you were like, oh, this is the faithful that's gonna tug at my heart. This is the faithful that I'm rooting for. This is the faithful that I want to see do well. Her and Jazz were that for me. I was like, and hearing their stories, I was like, oh no, you're making me fall for these people and get invested in their lives. And
I'm like, is there a Sia prize for Traitors
UK?
UK?
Because I need Jazz.
Can we get? I don't know. I don't know.
Sia prize, something. It was so good. But anything else before we move?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move, because this is the mission of all missions. They have to do the biggest mission ever to possibly get 20,000 pounds into the prize pot. Possibly. But it was the way they can get 10,000 pounds or 15,000. One of them. Yeah, how much? But they get first one if you just go to wherever. But they got some cool stuff happening before they get to the mission, because they're outside and it's a helicopter coming. And they're like, where is helicopter coming from? And it lands on the castle ground. Claudia comes out looking like...
I think you're on the next episode.
Yeah, sorry. Wait, I was about to say, I felt like something just jumped. But
yeah, this is the one with the pyramid.
Oh, this is the one where Jasmine was killing it.
This is the Traitors Monument. I was like, something's not right here.
Oh, Lana's gone.
She has a phone call.
Yes. Okay.
Here,
so
I just wanted y'all to do it since I screwed up.
I was gonna say, and Lana's gone. I got it because I see Lana, because I want an ally. To Lana. But this is the one where they have to solve all of the puzzles in the Traitors like monument thing with all these creepy people that look like kind of Squid Games, but also kind of that other thing that we all have reference for, but we don't talk about anymore. That one thing, y'all know what I'm talking about? With the mask and the game.
Sure.
David knows what I'm talking about.
David probably gets it.
I thought they looked like traitors.
Part of at one point.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, I know.
Okay, but like that's what I got.
Well, I got traitors. They were wearing like traitors hoods.
Yes, but I also very much so got that thing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to solve all these puzzles to then open this. This monument was gorgeous. I'm like, I hope we see this in the US one too, since they're repeating all the stuff. I'm like, oh, this is gorgeous. I love it. But you had to like rotate, and then they had to chant all the names of the people that were murdered, and I was like, oh, how morose. Okay. Okay. And then it opens the monument with 12 seconds left, of course, because they can't finish a challenge in any reasonable amount of time. Of course.
Sure.
And then they all have to pull swords. It felt very King Arthur.
Yep.
I was like, is that what we're doing here? Okay. You have to pull swords out, and if you get the big sword, then you have a decision to make. And of course, Harry gets the big sword.
Yay! I was hoping Harry would get it because I was nervous. I thought it was going to be.
I was hoping Jasmine would get it.
Yeah, it would have been interesting in hindsight, knowing what it was. It would have been interesting for a faithful to get this, because if I'm a traitor, knowing logically I have an advantage in this game, I'm likely to win the money and possibly share it with another traitor. Like, I don't need to take money out of the pot. But for a faithful, it's a little more difficult. So yeah, it would have been interesting to see if a faithful was faced with the decision to take that 7,000 pounds or keep it in the pot.
And I honestly think the only person that would have taken the money would have been Jasmine.
You think?
Because I think so. Because she kind of already knows the trajectory of where things are going and that she's very likely the target. I think there's a universe where she says, no, I don't want to put that target on me. But I think there's also a universe where I think she has enough self-realization to know I'm probably going to get voted out here. I might as well leave with some money.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same strategy that we saw kind of a little earlier in the trust where it's, yeah, I kind of know that I'm done, so I'd rather walk out of here with some cash. But yeah, it's other than that, Harry gets it, says, no, I'm good.
I'm fine.
I know
because you're in the perfect position to win this whole damn thing. Of course, Harry.
I said $7,000. I wouldn't have took it either, but unless I was Jasmine, then I'd be like, "Yep, I'm taking it because y'all finna vote me out anyway." I'd be Ica warning y'all go vote me out anyway. I'll be Ica.
Harry said,
"You are
"I'll put
voting
it."
me out." I'll put
it on layaway. I'll get it later.
I'll get it later. But I'm not the queen of conspiracy theories, but I have a conspiracy theory on this one because I was like, this seemed very production driven that Harry would be the one to get the sword out of everybody. I was like,
but how?
It just feels because they told him which one to pick. Which one to pick? It just seemed very like out of everybody there. Harry, who been getting everything handed to him thus far. Harry is the one that gets to make the decision when Harry is in the best position to win that money in the first place and take it all anyway. Harry gets to decide if he wants to, if he gets this. It just felt very production driven. Like he was told to go to that sword and pick up that sword. It just
It was 1 out of 6.
It felt like he was told to go there because it was like, this one.
But also, he was the last to pick, so the other 5 easily could have grabbed that too. And he had his options narrowed down by that point.
You are muted, Logan, so I don't know what any of this means.
I just realized what I was saying in the moment was not correct, so I'm glad I was muted.
Okay, good.
Look at God.
Look at God.
God's looking down on me. No, because I was saying, didn't they all go around and it was like the second time around is when Harry got it? No, I lied several times. So I'm just going to stay muted. Bye.
It was just weird. Like I said, it's a conspiracy theory. It's not nothing I'm saying that's based on fact. It's just seeing that way to me. Anyway, Harry said, "Put this money in my pot. I'll grab it later. Don't worry about it." And he left it there. And everybody's like, "Legend,
team
Harry.
Player.
That's team player." You are. I was like,
"Oh my God, he's such a faithful." Oh my God,
so I was like, oh. This man is just going to walk into the end and win. It's just going to be easy. It's going to be no pushback against him ever. I was like, none. Okay. So this episode right here was kind of like, we know what's happening. Like it was really nothing major besides the people were like, I don't know. I got my thoughts. I got my theories. I got my things, but we all know who we gonna pick. They get back to the castle. They talking. Then we go to the round table. And everybody's like, we know what we're doing. But I'm sure somebody got some more thoughts, but that's all I saw because it was kind of like, whatever.
The only thing that kind of stood out to me was a conversation with Andrew. And he went up to Jazz and Evie and he was talking to them. And he was already planting the seeds that, okay, yeah, I think it could be Jasmine and Harry, which I did not expect that from Andrew. It seemed like such a throwaway moment too. Like we didn't really get a lot of their opinion on it, but that was the first time where I really realized, oh, Andrew is playing for himself.
Jack, got any thoughts?
I mean, Andrew just slowly letting it click and saying, am I going to be hit in the exact same way that everyone else did with Harry? Oh, God, I'm going to be hit in the exact same way. I just need to start building cases against Harry. And we see the beginning of that here, if I'm remembering it correctly. Just a slow build to, can we trust Harry? But I don't think it works nearly as well.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Round table. Any thoughts? Because I would rather just go to the vote because it was all like, we know who it is. But
yeah, I don't have a lot of thoughts. Yeah, Jasmine starts out, she's like, I understand where this is going. I think it's Evie because it's not me. I'm 100% faithful. And Evie is like, okay, but I just don't understand why you fought so hard against that theory last week. Like, she's like, that's why I think it's you, other than logically, it's not me. So I thought Evie did a pretty good job of explaining why it must be Jasmine over her. But yeah, that's really the only thoughts I had during the roundtable, other than I guess Molly bringing up Ross's reaction to Andrew, and Jazz also thought it was concerning.
I have nothing to say because I was disappointed and sad.
yeah, they banished Jasmine like we knew they were.
Yeah.
She's done. She's out. And Jasmine goes up and like, she's smiling. She's laughing. She's like, yeah, I had the best time here. It's so great. Everybody's lovely. Love all of you. And I'm a faithful. Bye. It's like everybody was like, wait, what? I thought she was gonna say she was a traitor because she was laughing so much. I was like, no, she laughing because she knew y'all stupid. Y'all just banished another faithful. She was laughing because she's like, I can't believe I done got this far, only to be banished for being faithful and telling the truth. Telling the truth. Oh my God. So they're like, she was laughing and smiling. I knew she was a traitor. And I was like, I feel Evie. I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty because she wasn't the traitor. I feel so guilty. And I was like, well, and Evie was like, the writing's on the wall for me because nobody's gonna get murdered because it's 5 people, so nobody's gonna get murdered. They were gonna have another round table later another day. So they were like, oh.
She wasn't the only one feeling guilty though. I like, we get this moment from Harry where we see him talking about like how he's just feeling really guilty watching everything go down, like seeing those two go at each other, just knowing that they're both telling the truth. But he had that job, like, and he's taking it seriously. This is why I put him like pretty much on the same level as somebody like Sari, who they know how to just be in game mode and put their real feelings aside to play the game the best they can, and those are the best kind of traders.
Absolutely. So they feel guilty, and then they have to just go another day. But
I also do want to bring up the Uncloaked for this episode because I was like, okay, they're going to show Zach and Jasmine reuniting where they find out that who the traders are. That's what happens every Uncloaked. And I'm like, what's it going to be like? Because this is like a reunion, like right after, like that night or the next day, and like immediately when they see each other, they are 100% back to being friends. And I was really hoping it would be that way because I really liked their friendship throughout the season. And there were times where I got frustrated, especially with Zach here. But it was just really cool to see, like, they were both like, that was game. We're super cool. And they have a lot of love for each other. And also they were so shocked when they read the list of the names. But they were actually more surprised by Andrew. And I think Zach was a little bitter. He's like, he called me his son the whole time. Like, did not expect that from my dad in the game.
Okay, yeah, he got recruited late.
Right. It wasn't like he started
Yeah.
being. That yeah.
Like, I don't get these people. I don't get these faithful that are like, "Oh my God, how could you do this to me, traitor that was recruited 2 days ago? How could you do this to me for the whole game?" They didn't.
Yeah, they don't tell them if they were recruited on that
Recruited or
list, though.
not.
They
I
just
know,
they
but
don't.
like,
They won't. They
Yeah.
didn't know that they were recruited till probably way after the game. It was like, oh, they were recruited. So, but in that moment, they think you've been a traitor this whole time.
Yeah.
You've been a traitor.
Yeah, I mean it's a nuance thing. There's nothing. That's probably the one improvement to the uncloaking, where it's like, oh yeah, here are the traitors in order, and maybe this person was recruited a little bit after. Just giving that piece of information, it's like, okay, that's how it clicks in. Because you're just seeing it like, oh yeah, no, they're all traitors. When did they join? I don't know. That's not my problem to tell you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they don't tell them. It's just like, here's the list: Harry, Miles, Paul, and like when they put Miles like second on the list on a lot of them, I was like, Miles wasn't second to be recruited. I mean, he wasn't like that close up to the. It should have been Harry, Paul, Miles. I think if they were putting it in order of OG versus recruitment, but they didn't do that. So,
I thought they should put it from least shocking to most shocking. So I was often like annoyed that like
Harry
the past
was
few Harry was first. I'm like, no, save that one.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. But we have some really good reactions in the Uncloaked, though, which I saw that I was like, oh, okay, interesting.
Mhm.
But we go into the next episode because here we are, the last and final episode of Traitors UK. And this episode, I'm gonna say it. It was a lot of fluffiness that I didn't need. I was just like,
this episode could have been an email.
No.
no, it could the whole first part of it and the whole. I didn't need the dinner party. I didn't need the whole these moments of self-reflections and things like. I don't need all
It's
that.
the finale, Lana.
I don't
get
like
it,
that
and
because they don't
I
usually
don't-
do that. And
I
just
don't-
getting to hear all of their personal stories.
I don't
and-
need that.
Mm.
I don't need that because that's what we got the backstories for. I don't need to hear what you go spend the money on and why you just spend it. I don't need that. I want to play the game. I need traders energy because like I feel like the whole trader energy vibe of the game is like cutthroat. This and gotta play the game, and then you taking me out of it by like, oh, let's talk about. I would do it for this charity and give this money back to my family, and we know that. Why y'all all came to? Everybody came to this game to put the money to break for their families. That's what y'all all said before. I'm paying for my family. Everybody says it. I don't need the whole dinner party where we're having these long draw. That was 30 minutes of a show where we could have had some more strategy or another mission, like a mission to help them make all the money back in the pot. Like we could have had 2 missions in that time. But here we go. We got fluffy. That's just me personally. Other people might like it, which to each his own. I hope you enjoyed that part. To me, I was like, let me go get me some food. I'll be right back.
Do you want to talk now about the mission that you spent a few minutes talking about earlier?
No, I don't want to talk about any mission ever again. I don't want to talk about another mission a day in my life because apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. So
I'm surprised I had them in order, and I watched all 3 episodes last night at 2 a.m. So
at least I had the mission right.
you did describe a mission that did happen.
Yes. So they go to this mission that I already described early in the video. If you skip to this part of the video without listening to that part of the video, you missed the mission. You missed it. No, I'm just kidding. So they get on this helicopter, like I said. Claudia comes off looking like the baddest chick in the business off this helicopter. And I was like, work, diva. And she was like, we're going to treat you to the helicopter ride to the next mission. And everybody's like, oh, I'm so excited. Here's like, I fix helicopters in the military all the time, but I've never flew in it. I was like, what? That's sickening. But everybody gets on this helicopter and they're like, woo! Oh my gosh, this is great. Yay! yes. Flew over, get some great cinematic moments, flying over the countryside, seeing the water and looking at the mountains. It was very pretty. Just say, very picturesque. I was like, I love that. Then they diving down towards stuff. They're like, oh, it was fun. It's cool. It's great. They land. Claudia's standing there, and she's like, here's your mission. You have to get to this boat, to this path, and get to this boat. The trader's boat is right out there. You got to get to the boat and put up the main flag of the boat. You get that up, you get, I think it was 10,000. If you get that up, that up, it's $10,000. Now, there are detours along the way. If you go on the detours, find these other flags and bring them to the boat, and lift those flags up plus the other flag, you'll get 20,000 pounds added to the pot, which will make your total right under $100,000. And they're like, all right. So they're like, so what do we do? Let's try to get as many flags as we can along the way. So they go off on the path. They're going through these cliffs and the mountains. They find the first one is detour they take is the lobster traps. And they have to pull in these lobster traps to find the one with the cylinder in it. They pull in, they pull in, they pull in. They find it. Andrew finds it first, grabs it. I got it. They take off to the next one. They're going through these little cliffs, and it was very slippery and small and whatnot. Then they get to the one they have to go down. They have to rappel down this cliff. This cliff is high. And I ain't scared of heights, but I would be like, oof, all right. But Molly goes, Evie goes, Jazz goes, and then Andrew's turn. He's like, oh. Oh.
He trips on the cliff and falls almost backwards in the air. And as someone that's done that, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me. It's terrifying.
He was like, I can't move my feet up. I would have died. Like in that moment, I would have crapped my pants. I'm like, because the minute I think I'm about to fall to my death, I'm panicking. But going backwards, and he figures it out, and he goes. Harry, of course, Superboy. He's just like, doop, 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 doop. He gets down there quickly. They go through the water. They have to find it on this trek to the cliff. So Molly finds it and up in the thing. She climbs up, she grabs it, she goes. Then they were like, the whole time, Claudia's like, you have 55 minutes. You have 35 minutes. Hurry up. God, I love Claudia and her.
You only have a few more minutes. Hurry.
I love Claudia.
I'm going to say this. Potentially controversial opinion. Claudia Winkleman is my favorite Traitors host. I said it.
I don't think anyone can. I mean, the only other person who comes close is Alan.
Don't say that in front of David.
I like Alan, but I just say Roger. Roger and Claudia
I was
are
going to
probably
say.
And Kareen.
He's going to bring up some Australian man I've never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, once I watch Australia, I'll be able to join in that conversation with David. But for me right now, it's still Alan, then Claudia, then Corinne. But they're like so close together, they could be one host, and I would love them all. They're so good. All of them are really good. But
Except
Claudia's very much. Oh, there's another one.
New Zealand, he's okay.
Oh, well, see, he's the bottom of the list apparently. So everybody's she's like, hurry up, let's get there. So they're moving along. Then they get to the last one. They're like, do we go for it? Do we not go for it? They're like, we got time, let's go for it. And it's in these little tunnels of water, and they swimming through and trucking their way through. Find the last one, head to the boat. The boat takes them to the bigger boat, and Harry gets sick. Harry's in the back of the boat, like, what? I'm throwing up right now. They're like, is he sick? And they were like, oh my God, he's sick. He's sick. I'm like, not the golden boy getting sick on some water. He was like, this water is rough.
And then
This
on
water
top of that,
is-
Andrew is already going through it because he just almost fell off of a cliff.
And then now he's sick. And he's like,
So
oh God, no.
So then
Oh,
when
God.
we get to the boats and they have to hoist this giant flag, and it's just Jazz, God bless him, Jazz jumping and trying to do this, and then the only other people that can help him are Evie and Molly.
We got Evie, and Molly has one hand.
Molly has one hand.
So these are the people who have to hoist up this big, huge mast because Andrew was like,
Jazz was giving his best David hopping up every time I played Let Loose. Just like
it was so
it's not funny, but I laughed so hard the entire and then Harry finally comes over and he's just like trying not to throw up.
It was so crazy because Andrew was like, I'm just gonna jump in at this end and I'm getting it and I'm doing it. And then Harry comes and he's like, okay.
And the whole time,
after Andrew does it, and then he's like, I need a break. And Harry's like, okay, I think I got enough strength in me. He's like, okay. I was like,
they're tag teaming this thing while everyone else is doing as much as they can. Meanwhile, Claudia's just like, you have to move faster. You have to do it. And of course, they finish with seconds left because they can't finish any task at a reasonable level of time.
Yeah.
Fun viewers want to frustrate us.
I was frustrated. Sufficiently frustrated.
What I liked about this though was that they got the 28,000 pounds, which brought up their pot to about a little over 95,000 pounds.
Yeah.
But I'm just so used to like on the traders, it's always like, okay, here's what you didn't win the rest of the season, and you get to fill up your pot completely.
Here, we're going to give you all of these extra things to do for a potential of everything you didn't earn in the rest of the season.
But no, they lost out on 30,000.
Because you don't get the $30,000.
Because we allocated so much money for this prize fund that we have to give you as much of it as we possibly can.
No, not the BBC. They say, you know what? You get what you get, and whatever you don't get, we're gonna put into production next season. So thanks for the $30,000 you didn't win, you losers. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
But Jack, did you have something? Because you look like
no, it's just this. All I can think of still is Andrew ass backwards on a cliff going, my foot is stuck, just fully tangled in a rope. Just, my foot is stuck. And they're all worried, just like, is he okay? I'm not sure if he's okay. He'll get down here eventually. It's not my problem.
That's why they finished with seconds left, because Andrew's foot got stuck in the cliff.
What? They got the money. They made the under 100, slightly under 100,000. That's all he likes to say. And they make it back to the castle. Everybody's like, yes, we did it, guys. We did it. We're good. This is it. And Evie has a moment of all that adrenaline starts to wear off, and she's down. She's crying. She's like, oh, I just feel guilty. I feel so bad about what happened at the round table the other day. I'm still not over it. I know it's me. I feel like she had that moment of, my time here is over. Everybody's coming for me. I'm not going to win the money. I'm not going to do anything. All the things that I came here for is not happening now. And so she just had a moment of self-reflection and a moment of just sadness. Honestly, it's like, and I get it, because it's like, why did you come here and you worked so hard and you got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. You know, I try so hard, I get so far, but in the end, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't even matter. and she was just crying. And Andrew kind of was like, "Let me go find Evie. I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna give her a hug." And Molly went to go find her, and they was just like giving her hugs and just like reassuring that it's gonna be okay. We understand. You need a moment. Da da da. And I thought that was sweet. I'm not heartless people. I don't hate all fluff. Those are sweet moments I like. But is anything else stick out to you guys before the round table? Well, we do get a conversation with Harry, and not Harry, but Jazz and Andrew. Was that this episode?
Oh, where Andrew's last ditch effort to get rid of Harry.
Mhm.
To Jazz, and he was like,
Yeah.
You might be on to something. How did he know everything? How did he know everything? And he was like, oh, I'm just gonna leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna say. I was like, it's the seedlings that you plant, but don't put the water on it to nourish the seedlings. Like you have to nourish it in order to make it grow. And I felt that was his problem, and I felt like that was Jazz's problem. Like they
Mhm.
never nourish the seeds. They just planted it and left it alone. I was like, you got to put some water on it and let the sunlight in.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
even say he planted seeds. I would say he threw them arbitrarily onto a plot and just hoped they would grow. Because I was talking to my roommate about this earlier today because he was like, I didn't think Jazz was like the strongest person. I'm like, I think Jazz had some of the absolute best reads I've personally ever seen on a Trader show. Coupled with someone else who had great reads in this week's episode of Traitors US. But like, Jazz has had some incredible reads, and I think he's done really, really well. The problem is no one believed him because he didn't take the time at the start of the competition to actually try to really get to know people, and instead dove headfirst into strategy. And that's not going to be as successful in a game like this, where social connections are very, very pertinent to making a long-term stretch in the game. And I think that's part of why Harry did as successfully as he did. He was also a traitor, so that gives you a bit of an upper hand. And that's why Jazz didn't do as well as he could have.
I will also say Jazz does pull Molly aside and says, look, I'm going to say something tonight that may not sound right, but just listen. It's going to be about someone, and it's going to potentially open your eyes. If he had just said, I am going to tell you something about Harry, either now or at the round table, it would have worked better because there was no reason to throw this air of mystery over it for very little gain to him. And yeah, no, that's exactly what you mean by just throwing seeds arbitrarily and hoping perfect amounts of rain, sun, and growth come. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
The only thing I will dispute, if he told Molly at that moment that he had something on Harry that he's going to bring up at the round table, Molly would have went instantly to Harry and be like, Jazz said he's going to tell you something about you at the round table, because that's how close Molly was to Harry, and Jazz knew that's how close Molly was to Harry. And so it's like, you can't just bring, and that was his problem. He was too scared to bring it up to the right people at the right time. I felt that's why I said, if he would have did this at Final 5, if he would have just pulled Evie, and if he would have pulled Andrew, and they had Andrew brought this conversation to him, if those three people would have actually talked at the right time and actually talk, they probably could have been like, let's just see. Let's vote out Harry and see. If he's a faithful, we screwed up and it's on us. But I don't think we're wrong. And Andrew will have the moment to be like, I know we ain't wrong. Like he's like, let's just do it. What do we got to lose? And even he's like, even you could stay if the three of us vote for Harry. They just needed to have that conversation, and they never did. And that's the problem, because everybody was so scared to bring up Harry's name because Harry was so insulated in this game around people who just did not see him as a traitor. There was no way. Molly said 1,000%. She's not a traitor. Evie, he's not a traitor. He's just not. It's like, okay. But they just didn't have the right conversations with the right people. But so that's how I felt about the air of mystery with Jazz and why he didn't say it, because Molly would have just immediately ran to Harry and told him, and it would have been like, here would have came up with something else to make Jazz look crazy and for Jazz to go home. You know? So are we at the round table?
I think so.
Round table it is. Evie's like, look, no, y'all coming at me. I know this is she pretty much gave the same spiel that Jasmine did the night before, which is like, I'm a faithful, I know it. Y'all coming at me, and logically that makes sense, but not it. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to say right now, because it's like all I can say is I'm not it. And anything else y'all brought up at the round table that needs to be discussed? Because honestly, I don't know.
Literally, it was copy paste from the Jasmine banishment. Like, there's nothing, and that's why this endgame, I was just like,
Okay.
Like,
it was very predictable. It was, okay, we know who's going now, and then the murder makes sense, and then we know who's going now, and then there isn't a murder, and then we know who's going now, and now.
I was still entertained.
I was
though,
also the entertainment.
The entertainment factor is always going to be there, even though it was just predictability factor was something we all knew. It was like, oh, we know what's going to happen. Evie's about to go, which she did. Evie's gone. She's been banished. She gets up there and says, I am a faithful. And everybody's like, oh.
So we were wrong about Zach, Jasmine, and Evie. And this is where I thought it was going to make sense for Molly. I'm like, Molly, you have to understand. No.
And this is a point where I thought it was going to click to Molly, but I was like, dang. I wanted to click to Molly because she even said a couple of episodes back at the breakfast table, I don't know why I'm still here. I don't know why I'm still here. I feel like somebody's protecting me. I don't know why I'm still here. And I'm like, in this moment, Molly, you need to think back to everything you said and like, why would I still be here? Who would be the one to protect me in this game? The person who I trust the most in this game could be the one protecting me the most in this game. And then in that moment where Zach, Jasmine, and Evie are gone, and that theory is null and void and deleted at this point. Now I got to start looking at the people within, and I'm like, who out of these people, Jazz, Andrew, and Harry, would protect me? Who would do that? But easier, like I said, easier said than done. Easier to say when we're sitting at home watching and know who the traitors are than being in the game and not knowing and thinking, because I think logically on all these fronts, it's kind of, but yeah, I wanted Molly to click for her, but, Anything else?
But yeah, I did want to get back to the point where you alluded to it. Jazz does ask his question to Harry. He's like, Harry, so I have a question for you. And I like how he framed this because he very easily could have just laid it out there and said, Paul told me this. But no, he went back and he's like, do you remember this conversation we had? Did you tell Paul? And Harry quickly denies it. He's like, no, I didn't tell him that. And you could tell Harry was a little flustered, but I thought he did a pretty good job of holding it in as much as he could under the circumstances and coming up with a good excuse of why Paul might have said that. Harry said, oh, I think if anything, I might have told him that he needs to work out things with you because you're suspicious of him. But yeah, I did not tell him that if you're banished, then he killed you, or if you're murdered, he kill you. So I don't think that it worked as well as Jazz was hoping it would, but it was a very good attempt.
I feel like Jazz was a little scared in that moment, and he could have pushed it because he said, I think I told him he needs to watch out because, or work with you or talk to you because you were suspicious. And Jazz could have been like, no. Harry told me specifically verbatim exactly what I told you. So it couldn't have been you just told him in passing, like, hey, you need to talk to Jazz because he's suspicious of you. He said verbatim to me, and I quote, Harry said, if I die, Paul is the one who did it. So in order for him to say that, you would have had to tell him, which you just said you didn't tell him, but now you're saying you did. Like, he could have used it to twist it, and I think he was too scared to cause any kind of friction or in between that because he didn't think it will help. But if he would have said, I don't know, Harry, this isn't adding up because what you are saying is not adding up to what I was told. And then he's like, well, right. And then if he was like, well, Paul is the traitor, of course he's gonna tell you anything. But no, because specifically I told you this specific thing. Like, you were the only person I told. So you are the only person who knew I felt that way and the only person I said that to. So the reason him coming to me now lets me know if he's a traitor and you told him, why would you tell him? Well, I talked to everybody, but why would you tell him that I was suspicious? Like, I would have pushed it a little bit, but I felt like Jazz was a little too scared because he was scared of maybe the tides turning to him and going home. And I'm like, but this is the end game. These are the moments. It's either you win or you lose. Because even if he is a traitor, if he's still there at the end, you lose. If he's a faithful and he's there and you're there, y'all win together. So it's kind of like you have to. I feel like you throw it all at the wall at this point. Well, 5 people left, 4 people. You got it. But I think he was scared. I think he was just scared to push back for not wanting the tide to turn to him. Which I'm like, okay, but I would have pushed a little harder for me personally. For me, I would have pushed it. But we saw Evie was gone. Oh, yes, we did skip over that. Thanks, David. But Evie's gone. And it's the final 4. And they have to go right out to they were going to go out, but the rain said no. It was raining. And it was storming. They were like, we must move this banishment ceremony.
Happened?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware. I was like, oh, it's inside. That's cute.
Yep.
That's different. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was storming very badly in Scotland that day.
Wrong time of year to film in Scotland.
Yeah.
So they were like, so they moved it on inside, which was still cute. But I'm like, all right, let's look. Is it gonna be smoke inhalation with all that fire and throwing stuff in the fire? But we'll see. It'll work. But they move inside. They're around the fire. Claudia's there looking gorgeous. And she's explaining how this final 4 is gonna work. In your bag, in the chest before you, there are pouches. One says in-game. The other says banish. If you want to continue, if you feel that there are no more traitors amongst you, you put in game and we will end the game. But everyone must agree. If there's one person who says banish, we will have a vote. No discussion. And so she says, everyone pick your one. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't take me out of my thing. I'm in my Claudia mode.
Okay, well, I had to have my moment because I know that makes you laugh every time I do it.
I do, it does.
You're welcome.
Jazz. Bench. Why? And he says, because I feel like game's not over, Claudia. We have traitors amongst us. So we will have a vote. But let's see what everyone else says. Andrew, banish. Molly, banish. Harry, banish. So everybody there we were banishing because everybody knows the traitor amongst us.
I love
And so
chemistry, don't you?
That one,
And Andrew used his moment to make it very clear who he was going for. I did not expect that from Andrew.
I didn't expect it in this moment.
Harry didn't expect it either.
No, I don't think anybody did. And I was like, Andrew, wrong moment. So if you would have just, it wouldn't have been you. It would have been Jazz. I think it would have been Jazz. And I think
I do too.
it would have been Jazz if you would have just.
Because Harry said throughout the episodes here that he wanted to share it with Andrew.
Yes.
I don't know if he would have stuck with that at the very end here, but I was believing him. Like I do think at points he really wanted to share the money with Andrew.
I think at this point I would have trusted it, but if he would have did it at the end, I'd been like, "You got me." If he would have had to trick me at the end because I would have just waited and like, let's just play it out and see what he do. If he get me, he get me. If he don't, we split this money, and that'll be great. But I don't know. I think Molly might have been the one to say banish at that point because she was like always had this little feeling about Andrew. So she could have said the moment about Andrew. It would have. I think that would have been great TV. Either way.
Could you imagine if they voted out Jazz and then Molly decided to banish again, and it's like, okay, Molly's deciding which traitor wins.
Right.
Like, could you imagine?
I think both traitors at that point just vote Molly.
I also think that probably happens.
Like, I genuinely just look at it and go, well, the game is already over. Molly, you just banished yourself and you were shocked a little bit earlier. Whoops.
But they vote out. So Andrew, like you said, uses his moment to go after Harry and was like, I believe Harry's a traitor. He did everything. He knew everybody. He had receipts for everything. And just saying, who would know all that information? I was like, cute moment. Wrong time to do it. You should have said that at Final Five, but okay. Cute. And they were like, okay, fine. So they vote. And it was Andrew, Harry, Andrew is banished. Andrew stands and says, I am a traitor. And they were like,
That's the first vote that Harry's gotten in the whole game.
Yeah. Well. I don't know if that was a joke even over our heads, but I don't know what that meant. And I'm confused. You said, and that was the first vote Harry got?
Yeah, that was the first vote in the whole game that Harry...
The first vote Harry had received in the game, period.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Harry received. Okay.
Yes.
I was like, that's what I was like.
That was the first time someone had voted against him.
Wrote his name down. Got it. Okay. I was very confused.
David and I were both kind of just like,
I was like, what's confusing about that?
I was confused about
I'm tracking exactly where the conversation.
I'm like, he voted every time. What do you mean?
This is the first time the whole season that Harry voted. He was banking his votes,
Right.
There was a twist that none of us knew about. He was banking all of his votes so that way he had 12 votes at the finale.
He just pulls out slab after slab after slab. Okay, next
Another
one.
Thank you. Another one. Thank you. Another one. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me finish this before we hit 2 hours. Anyway, so Andrew's gone. He's the traitor. Everybody's like, ugh. So then they do it all over again, and Claudia's like, let's pick up the pouches you want. Thank you. Harry tosses in green. Molly tosses it in, green. Jazz tosses it in, bam, red. And I was like, wow. I said, are you going to do it? But you can't talk. So, wrong time.
Yeah.
You just lost. Just take the L, my guy. Because you really ain't had no. But in this fact, we watched Molly write the H on her slab. And I'm like, she gonna do it.
She's gonna win.
Do
She's
it.
got this.
I'm like, she gonna win. They gonna win. And she writes, and she's shaking, and she writes, and she's shaking, and she writes, and she gets all the way to the Y, and she's shaking, and she's like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. And then she goes, she looks up at Harry and is like, I'm trying. And he's like, no. And she's like, oh my God, can I change it? And Claudia's like, we won't do anything unless everybody's happy with their answers.
I needed Claudia to have her Julie Chen Moves moment here. And submit your answers. Answers are locked. The correct answer is Harry is a traitor.
So it was so she's like, oh my God. She's writing and she's writing and she's like, can I change it? I was like screaming at my computer screen. I was like, no, Molly girl, no.
And I was like, yes, Molly, do it.
I was screaming at Molly for no, and I was like, but Harry, you gonna do this. He's gonna kill it. No, Molly, no, but yeah, Harry. Like, I was so torn because I really liked them both, and I think they both played, but I'm like, Harry wins, he deserves. It's just no question he deserves. But if we go do this, it would be the best TV moment to see a faithful win, because every season of Traitor I've seen, only traitors have won. And so I'm like, I would love to see the faithful actually win this. That will be crazy. And Molly is like, she's shaking, she's trembling. And she finally puts it down. She's like, I'm happy with my answer. Still shaking, but she's still happy. And Harry puts up his vote, Jazz. Jazz puts up his slab, Harry. Molly picks up her slab. But we see the Y on the end of the slab that she erased to write Jazz's name. I was like,
maybe she just wanted to be jazzy. Who knows?
I was like, oh, girl, you gonna feel so bad after this. You gonna feel so bad. And that was where my hurt was coming in, because I knew she was gonna feel so stupid and bad in this moment. But I also was like, man, that boy played this game. To be 22 years old, wow, he played a great game. And she was like, okay, so Jazz leaves, and Jazz is like, I'm a faithful. I'm like, okay. So Molly's like, Molly tells her thing. She's like, I'm a faithful, of course. And Harry was like, I am, and has always been since day one, a traitor. And Molly says,
oh, fuck. Because I know Lana doesn't want to say it.
And she's gone. She
And
leaves
was like,
the
no.
room.
She was like, oh, and
Fuck.
she just walks out. And I was like, our winner is Harry, who wins £96,000 for being one of the best traders I've ever seen on television. And the props go to you, Harry, because you played this game like a well-oiled machine. And it was as guilty as he says he felt, which I believe. It's just like, he was like, I'm going to take this guilt, push it aside for the fact that I am here to play the game. I signed up for this. This is what you signed up for, knowing it's the possibility you're going to be a traitor. And he signed up for this, and he earned every bit of praise and all the flowers because he was one heck of a traitor. Applause to Harry.
Yes, for sure. I thought it was so well balanced between Harry and Jazz. Like I put a tweet out there that I think this season has the best traitor game I've seen and the best faithful game I've seen. And that's why it was such a nail biting end there. And in fact, both names were written down on the little slab there. So yeah, I think that just goes to show like how close of a call this was. And I think it made for an amazing ending.
Mm-hmm. Logan and Jack, y'all have to say something. This is the end. What are we thinking?
Party.
Stop it.
I didn't particularly care for Harry as a character on this show, but props are due because he played a spectacular game. And I was going to give my thoughts. I was just waiting for David to finish his. Lana.
No, don't do that because he finished and we just sat in dead air until I said something. Like you would, if you were going to jump in, you would have jumped in when he stopped talking.
Okay, I
would even had time to say anything. Jack.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yep, I did it, and I caught it. I caught it that time. I caught it that time. Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And now I'm gonna cough. Fuck me.
We killed. We murdered.
Yeah, no. Now I'm not gonna breathe whenever I talk here.
No, Jack, please breathe.
So we're probably about to get into it, but Harry probably played one of the best traitor games we have seen across any series. He knew how to almost immediately have people that were in his corner and under almost every single circumstance would keep him. And the important part to that was faithfuls were part of that group. He had Molly basically locked for him. And the only reason Molly at the end of the game didn't vote for him is because she felt she couldn't. If you have that strong of a bond with someone, especially when it gets down to the end, you're gonna win. And it was so dominant. I think I want to say US 1 comes kind of close to this in terms of how well the winner ended up playing. But I think between the two of them and maybe Canada, I'm not super sure on Canada because I only watched about half of it and the other half I got through Twitter. I think this is either the second strongest or the strongest traitor game ever played.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give all our thoughts of it because for me, this is what I've been waiting on all day because I thought about it extensively. For me, I feel like Harry had next to Suri, because that's who it is. It's next to Suri. Harry was the second most best traitor, and this is why. Suri never got her name written down ever. Suri also had two people in that finale with her who were never going to say her name. They would never pick her. She had a flawless game. Like, mistakes were not on her. They were on her other traitors. None of those mistakes that were made fell on Suri. They were on her. She had two people in that finale who were die hard not taking, would never go against her. Harry had Molly. And then he had his name written down once. It's the little nitpicky things that makes me go, he will be second. Because it's like, they both had great games. It was dominant from beginning to end on both of them. But it's like, but how do we distinguish between the two? And I'm like, Jazz was always suspicious of Harry for a while. Well, for a while, he was suspicious of Harry. We didn't have any suspicions at all. They weren't suspicious of her. The people who were suspicious of Suri, they were going early. They were going way early. They would have never made it to the end with those suspicions that they had about Suri. Harry took the people, one person who he didn't realize Jazz had the suspicion, that much suspicion on him, but he took it to the end. That would be my only way too default. But when I say micro mini movements between the two, like this much Suri snaked him out of being the best trader. But Harry played a phenomenal game. A phenomenal game. But that's my personal little opinion on no.
Okay. I want to give my opinion too, because I do stand by the fact that I think Harry played the best trader game I've ever seen. And it is very close between the two of them and somebody from Australia. And I don't want to go into too much detail about that one. But for me, kind of the difference here is that I think Sari, as always, and I'm just going to say she's pretty much like her and Sander are tied for my favorite people on any of these shows ever. So the fact that I'm going to say somebody played a better game than Sari is kind of blowing my own mind. But I think Sari played a flawless social game. Um, I don't think there were a lot of strategic moves she needed to make. And it was largely because her social game was just so well. Her biggest strategic move, they did not even put on the show. We only learned about it in the reunion. And that was the fact that there was a group of people that said, yeah, we're going to make sure that all of the Black people are in the end. And that was an amazing move for her. They didn't show it on the show. But that just kept her so well insulated that she didn't have to really think outside of the box. And she played it so well. What I liked about Harry's game was that we saw a very similar social element. Like we saw just people week after week. There's no way it could be Harry. But then we also saw the added element of some incredible, like game changing strategic moves that I had never seen on the Traitors. And this is my 7th or 8th season I've seen of it. So for me, those like super impressive moves are what gives him the slight edge over Sari, who really didn't have to make those moves.
But don't you? I think that's the strategy in itself. The fact that your social game is so strong, you don't have to make strategic moves. That's something that Harry had to do. He had a strong social game, but he still felt the need, like he had to show and prove himself. And so he was like, I don't have to prove myself. I'm just gonna let this play out and see how it works. For me, that's like I feel like I don't, and I'm not saying that you did it. I think like people underestimate the social part of the game and always think if you have to do something strategic to make that move to make it better. And I'm like, no, you could just be a very super strong social player where your strategy, that's the strategy, is that I don't have to make these big flashy moves in order to get to this part of the game. I'm just a social player, and that's who I am. And so that I tend to lean towards that. Like if you don't ever do a strategic move, but you made everybody believe that you did everything. Like I played games where people thought I made mastermind moves, and I did none of it. I was just in the background, like, yeah, no, I'm fine. Yeah, that's great. Trust me with that. Oh yeah, trust me. Tell me all your information, and everybody trusted me with everything. And then when we get to the end, they're like, "How did you? You got everybody? Yeah, because y'all told me everything." That's strategy. That's strategic. That's something that I feel. But I understand what you're saying. But for me, I'm just that social person.
And we've seen both from her. Like we know that she's got the strategy and the social. Yes. Like I think if you're asking me who is a better player in general, Sari hands down any day. Like nobody can match up to her. But just on their specific games, like she had an ability to make an alliance that he could not make. He couldn't make that same kind of alliance and have that insulation. But he was making moves that kept him insulated several banishments in advance. And that's just what was so impressive to me, that he was able just to like think so far ahead and just keep himself safe. And I think even the biggest mistakes in his games, like one was talking about Diane in front of Ross. That was a twist. How was he to know that Diane was his mom? The other thing was Paul telling Jazz what he did. That was a bad move on Paul. Like there's no reason Paul should have done that. And it would have been very upsetting if Harry's game got tanked because of Paul's bad move. So really, I did not see many flaws in either of their games. And same with this other person from Australia. That's why they are like the pinnacle of trader strategy. So
Logan or Jack, anything?
I mean,
I didn't finish 3 seasons of the Traitors, so I can't comment.
What you said about Suri specifically, I think now it's Suri at 100 and Harry at like 99.5. Like it's, as you said, it's that tiny detail of, yeah, no, Suri literally played a perfect game and had 2 people at the end who would never have voted for her, where Harry had 1 and did receive votes at the end, but he was never going to lose. Like, it was still a pretty perfect game. It's just that he missed, I think, quite literally the one tiny step of not having any votes for him. But otherwise, they are both incredible games. And I guess now I have to go through Australia, which I assume is going to be another 20 hours or so. Australian shows are always so long.
Only 2 seasons because it got canceled. So.
Oh yeah, it did. Is New Zealand still up? Because they can just go to there.
Who knows? That I don't know. Yeah, apparently the second season was so bad that they just
it was still good. It was still good. I will defend it. My sister and I get in arguments about season 2 because she hated somebody so much that she just could not enjoy the season. And I'm like, but they're going to have a downfall and it's going to be so glorious. And it surely was. So I did enjoy it. And it's just such a unique season, but I really like both seasons of it. I did want to talk about the final Uncloaked episode. I don't know who got to watch any of that, but it basically was a reunion show for the Traitors. It was hosted by Ed Gamble, who's been hosting Uncloaked each week. Whoever was his makeup artist definitely did him dirty this time, though, because
tragic.
Just the face did not match the rest. Yeah, but there were a few things that I wanted to talk about this reunion. I'm just going to call it the reunion. This was the first time Claudia was there, and they had a live audience, including all of the cast. So I thought that was a lot of fun. But one of the things that stood out to me early on was when he was interviewing Claudia, and she was like, I was so livid when they took out Aubrey and Sonia, like right at the beginning. She's like, put them on season 3. And I'm like, come on, stand up for our older people that were on the cast. And we were also very devastated when they left. Another thing, when she got to talk to Jazz, I really liked this moment. Right? Ed was talking to Jazz, and he was talking about when Claudia was picking traitors and she was going around the round table. He was like trying to stick his shoulder out, like, tap me, I want to be a traitor. I want to be a traitor. And this is where Claudia interjected, and she's like, Jazz, I know we had talked and I knew you wanted to be a traitor, but we had also talked about your story with your dad, which we've talked about on the podcast. And she's like, I saw that you wanted to be a traitor, but I knew that the faithful needed you. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I really like that. And he agreed at that point. He's like, I wanted to be a traitor, but I needed to be a faithful. And I really thought he played the best faithful game. So he was right there. Did you watch this, Jack?
I saw parts of it on Twitter, but I did not get to watch the entire thing.
Okay.
I did see that Jazz was like, he wanted to be, and I felt that, I was like, that was kind of sweet what Claudia said. She was like, the faithfuls needed you. And I was like, very true. But the faithfuls also didn't listen to him. So it really didn't matter that they needed him or not, because they weren't listening to him at all. But his reads were spot on. And I was just like, I think Jazz would have been a good traitor, but I think he would have been caught because nobody trusted him. And it's just the nature of the beast that people didn't trust him. But the faithfuls did need him. And I was like, oh, that was nice of Claudia to say that. That was very sweet. But I did see that part. I was like, oh, that was nice. But I would have wanted to be a traitor. Now,
Right.
if we go on the show, would you want to be a traitor or would you want to be a faithful? I would want to be a traitor.
Traitor for sure.
Jack?
You have such an
this
advantage.
is the thing. The obvious answer is traitor, right? You want agency, you want to have the storyline, you want to have all of that beautiful camera time. I'm going to say faithful. And the reason is because you have to actively play a stronger game. You have to figure out who you can trust in real time and also figure out, how do I just keep living? Why am I still alive? Like, and when you do get taken out, it's unfortunate, but at least you can be like, I didn't directly stab anyone in the back. And I mean, these people just got the wrong opinion versus, no, I directly fucked up and I got here. I mean, you also could directly fuck up and get eliminated as faithful, but we're going to ignore that for the sake of my argument.
Okay.
But it also doubles your, sorry, did you want to?
No,
go ahead.
Being a faithful doubles the opportunity to get eliminated each episode. If you're a traitor, there's only one opportunity to get you out each episode. Plus, you have that extra knowledge of who to go to the end with. In traitors, it's like, or faithful, it's like, okay, I'm just going to have to guess. I'm going to have to try to add some sort of logic where there's not always logic. So you're at such a disadvantage being a faithful. That's why I would be a traitor for sure.
I would be such a bad traitor. I would be such a bad traitor. I've never known, because I would slip up and say something and get banished. Like, I just, as much as I would love, same honestly with Jack, it's like, I would love to be a traitor, and I think that would be so fun and it would be great and all that. I would not make it 2 days as a traitor. I just know I wouldn't. And that's just like, I have enough self-realization to be like, nah, make me a faithful. Like, because I think I could do decently at deducing body language of people and seeing that. And like, that's the game I would rather play as opposed to puppeteering everything. I would rather like be on the ground doing that sort of stuff. So I would say faithful.
You know what's funny about this? The fact that you and Jack both said you will be faithful, and me and David both said that we will be traitors, because I've played with each one of you in games before, and I think David and myself would be the least likely people who would think we would be traitors. Like, people would play games with us and they'd be like, there's no way David and Lana are traitors. Like, absolutely not. I can't see it, because we are, compared to the two of you, we're more mild-mannered in games. Logan and Jack will get very much competitive into a moment, and they like, and even Jack,
yes, because we get targeted immediately, sometimes at the same time.
Absolutely.
And we make it very far.
And we make it very far together, because nobody's
Jack and I are lucky if we make it past round 4.
And that's what makes it fun, because I get slammed on my face repeatedly.
That's why I don't play anymore.
I'm sorry. Look, the curse of being a white man. I don't know how David passes this curse.
But
I still don't
Hold on, what?
Are
because that's what they do. Look, it's like, Logan, I'm gonna be honest. In games, you get annoying because you get so passionate, and you're like, I'm just right about this, and what about that. And folks are like, I'm just sick and tired. Jack is always right about everything, and you're like, I'm sick of this man being right about everything. We gotta vote him out of here. And it's like, and not that I'm the one voting, because I only voted for Logan once in my life, and I really didn't vote for him. I just made sure he would get out. But I lied. I lied. Okay, I lied. But Logan actively voted and targeted me, so I just never. But I've never voted out Jack in the game, because I like Jack in the game, because I think I know I've never voted you out in the game.
You know, sometimes those of us that are not as strategically gifted and socially gifted as Lana, we get one opportunity and we just go for it.
Yeah,
you know, sometimes you only get one. For me, I've had 2
one life
total. I've had 2 total
2 total what?
Times that I've gone far in a game
Oh,
on my own volition.
oh, well, Jack is not.
And the
that,
third
because I've
time
seen
was
Jack
because I
go
was
far.
carried.
Oh, well, I've seen Jack go far in games before, though.
I've only gone out early once.
I've only gone out early.
Can
Twice.
we wrap? I don't want to relive this. Can we wrap up this? I'm over this.
Oh my gosh, some people are so bitter. Anyway, we thank you for watching as we talk about Traitors UK. Y'all, that was it. Overall, I think we all could say we loved this this season. It was a great season with a deserving winner. Shout out to Harry.
Yeah.
Props to you. You did a great job. You earned it. You deserved. Thank you all for watching because we enjoyed watching this season. Follow us all the if you missed any of our recaps, you can go back. They're all in the playlist. You can follow them all. Follow us at hit the subscribe button here, subscribe button on our main channel, subscribe button on our Eurovision channel. All of those will be in the end below, in the inbox below. You can see them. The links will be there. Follow us on our socials at The Cup Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok because we have funny moments and we put funny moments up there. So follow them. Also, you can follow all of us on our Twitters and things because they're there. Follow Jack on Twitch. When he can get on it, he gets on there and he does a great job on Twitch. So follow Jack on Twitch. And
I only curse like 30% of the time. It's fine. Have your kids listen to it.
30.
They'll be fine.
30, Jack.
Sorry, 30% of the time where I'm not cursing.
Right.
30% that you're not cursing, Jack.
Okay.
I love you.
90% that I'm cursing.
Thank you.
Get your cup merch, your cup mug, not limited to, but all of your cup merch at Lana G's Creations at Etsy.com. The link will be in the description below. And on that note, to all of my traders and traders alike, we do bid you adieu. Bye.
I have no idea where my camera is anymore.
I love that you dedicated this to traders and traders alike because we only care about traders today.
We do. Well, faithfuls too, I guess, but y'all never win.
Screw you,
apparently
faithfuls.
not today, Lana.
Faithfuls never
Bye.
win. So.